Hi, I'm Carolyn Evans-Hammond and welcome to my tasting room. Carolyn's tasting room is where you can taste exciting wines with me. And tonight we taste wines that will totally elevate your summer. Because nothing takes everything up a notch like a really lovely bottle of wine. And tonight's flight includes 4 different expressions for all of your summer moments. So the flight includes the 2021 Zenato San Benedetto Lugana DOC from the Veneto region of Italy, the 2022 Rapaura Springs Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, New Zealand, the 2020 Doudet-Naudin Pinot Noir Vin de France from France, the 2021 Love from the Cape Cabernet Sauvignon from South Africa, and now let's taste. So the first one in our flight is the 2021 Zenato San Benedetto Lugana. It's a DOC wine from the Veneto region of Italy, and it's a style that is loved there. It's versatile, wonderfully food friendly, and absolutely elevates everything. So pour yourself a glass and let's taste. First, you notice the color. The color is, it's not golden. We're not talking about an oaked wine here. This is stainless steel all the way, and that's reflected. It's a pale, straw, bright, star bright wine. And the fact that it's clear and bright also suggests stability. Technical stability is important because, this wine has traveled. We're not in Italy right now. So all of that's really important. You can tell by just looking at it. Give it a swirl and a sniff. Beautiful, isn't it? Now this is not forward. We are not in Chardonnay country. We are in Italy. So you get that restrained scent. Hints of pear, seashell, a touch of sort of stone, salinity, but it's also restrained. Now this, it's Lugana, and Lugana is the wine style. It's actually made from a grape variety called Trebbiano di Lugana. It's the clone of Trebbiano made in that region or grown in that region, and it's synonymous with a wine you might know called Verdicchio. Now Verdicchio actually for me always has a little bit of a bitter almond twist on the finish, so we'll be looking for that when we taste it. But a subtle wine on the nose, almost like Pinot Grigio insofar as it's restrained, it's fluttery aromas, or if you like maybe even Chablis because it's so restrained and there is that element of element of minerality, which I love. So one quick sniff and let's have a taste. Let it sweep in. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, it feels like satin sweeping across the palate. It's so smooth, and that seamlessness is hard to achieve. It's a testament to balance. So all the technical components are in perfect balance with this wine. Now let's have another sip and we'll focus at the tip of the tongue. We think it tastes dry. We think it tastes bone dry, in fact. Let's focus on the tip of the tongue and see if we can detect residual sugar. That's the best place to detect sweetness. Did you notice that? There is a little bit of residual sugar. It rounds it out, makes it taste silky, and increases the balance of the wine. It actually has 6 grams per liter technically, but you wouldn't notice it from drinking it because it's so well balanced with the rest of the components, especially the acidity. There is always a tension between acidity and sugar, and when they're in perfect balance, you get what we got when we first took a sip, that wonderful sweep of satiny pleasure. Now let's focus on the sides of the palate by letting it wash into the back of the palate, back of the sides of the palate, and see how much your mouth waters to detect the acidity. Very mouth-watering, very sky-high acidity, perfect balance with that note of sweetness and the wonderful fruit stuffing in the middle. Though there is wonderful fruit stuffing, it is not forward. it's restrained. So you're getting all the flattery notes we found on the nose, the pear, the stoniness, the minerality, the salinity, all of those lovely notes. And on the finish, do you notice that? That's where I'm getting both lemon zest and bitter nut. And it's subtle, but it's there and it's lovely. It makes it very food friendly. It's a kind of wine you can really enjoy at the table, and it's not going to upstage a moment. It's not going to upstage a dish. It's just going to quietly elevate everything. It's a kind of wine you can pour especially well with salads and seafood. So the first wine in our flight was subtle, restrained, Italian. Now we're going to New Zealand for a Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough. This style is grab you by the jugular refreshment. And I think you'll like it because the style is on fire and it's great for everything herbaceous at the table. Cocktail style, yes, but pour this with asparagus or pour this with goat cheese salad or pour this with pesto. Golden. So pour yourself a glass of the 2022 Rapaura Springs Sauvignon Blanc. In the glass, clear and bright for sure, just like last time, so we know it's stable. The color is straw. This is not oak, so there's no golden hues or really yellow hues. Stainless steel fermented. Beautiful. Give it a swirl and a sniff. Aromatic? I think so. This is jump out of the glass fragrant. It's beautiful and it's so pristine, which I love. I mean, it smells like, smell that. What do you think? Gooseberry? Have you ever had a gooseberry? Gooseberries are really tart, really green fruit, and it smells just like this. Beautiful, as well as lime, hints of papaya, a touch of pineapple, tropical scents, yes, as well as, do you notice grapefruit? And if you smell again, see if you can pick up the scent of Caspian peppers. That is one of those notes that you often get in New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, and it's absolutely here. So sort of like jalapeno, that kind of thing, which is great because it means it can be really paired with Mexican food beautifully. So, here's swirl, quick sniff, and let's have a taste. Isn't that beautiful? Sweeps in, crisp, bright, linear, juicy. It's the kind of wine that could be easily poured cocktail style. It's a lot like a cocktail insofar as it's fruit forward. The other one was restrained. This is fruit forward. The value of that is it's not going to get lost at the table. All of the flavors we're finding are going to bridge and enhance certain foods. So it's the kind of wine that works really beautiful with spicy food because it's not going to get lost. You're going to have that lime, you're going to have that papaya, seasoning the palate, bridging to the next bite, as well as, enhancing the whole experience. And that's the charm of a wine like this. So let's taste it technically, see if it's dry or sweet. Notice that? A little bit of sweetness to the tune of 7 grams per liter. But you don't notice it, it tastes dry because of the mouth-watering acidity, which can be tasted at every sip. It's also got great mid-palate stuffing. Have a sip, let's see what the flavors are cascading with. Everything we found on the nose. Damp herbs, papaya, pineapple, citrus notes, grapefruit, and then on the finish is where salinity as well as that Caspian pepper comes through. So lovely wine to know about, very food friendly, very well balanced, and at, I guess, 13% alcohol, it's relatively low in alcohol. The third one in our flight is red. It's a light, lively red from France. It's the Doudet-Naudin Pinot Noir, which is a vin de France. And though it's a vin de France, meaning the fruit can come from anywhere in France, technically, it's actually from one of the oldest Burgundy houses, founded in 1849. So this is a very respected producer, and I think it delivers great value for money at, this sells for about $18 in Canada and about, I think about 12 in the US. So it's a bargain. So pour yourself a glass and let's take a look. Now this is pure Pinot Noir, which is a heartbreak grape. It's hard to grow well, but of course Burgundy does it best. And who better to make it than a storied, very, old Burgundy producer. So pour yourself a glass. First notice the color. Now Pinot Noir can be quite transparent. This is not that transparent. It's actually got some depth, which suggests that the Pinot Noir, has concentration. So I like that. And it is clear. It is bright, so we know it's stable. Give it a swirl and a sniff. Oh, couldn't be anything other than Pinot Noir. It smells like, do you notice that it's not just about fruit? Yes, there's fruit, but it smells like violets too. And a little bit gamey, a little bit like, duck even, duck confit, charcuterie, smoked meat, and raspberries, often associated with Pinot Noir. Love that, like earthy red fruit. I could smell this all day long. And what I love about that is Pinot Noir is hard to get, it's hard to do well, but it's even harder to do well at an affordable price. So the fact that this is so clean, expressive, and typical bodes well for the taste. So have a sip and let's see what it tastes like. Beautiful. The balance is immediately evident. Yes, it's crisp. It's Pinot Noir, but there's also a wonderful saturation of fruit here that's hard to get, and it's pure. There's great purity. Love that. So this is a wine that, I would pour friends all the time because there's such value for money. It's an impressive, food-friendly pour. So let's parse it apart a little bit. Have a sip and let's focus on the tip of the tongue to see if it's dry or sweet. A whisper of residual sugar to the tune of around 5 grams per liter. Very little, just enough to make it taste round. Let's have another sip. Let's focus on the back of the palate to see if there's any alcoholic heat showing through. We haven't talked about that yet, but that's where we focus to notice the alcohol. If the alcohol is showing through the fruit, then you know that it's nearing its, it's sort of past its best, because no one wants alcoholic heat when they're drinking a glass of wine. So have a sip. None. This is 13% alcohol, completely blanketed by fruit extract. That's great. Did you notice your mouth watering? It's in perfect balance with a little bit of sweetness. It is a high acid grape variety, but not tasting shrill or angular at all, which can be the tragic flaw of far too many inexpensive Pinot Noirs, or even, quite frankly, mid-priced Pinot Noir. So have another sip and let's see what it tastes like, because these are the things that we think about when we think about food pairing. As it sweeps in, do you notice first black fruit, black raspberry, and then as it arcs and that recedes a little bit, it moves a little bit to red berries, sort of red raspberry, before the fluttery notes of violet come to the fore. And then as it recedes, the smoked meat, the gaminess, and even a note of wonderful earthiness, like underbrush, emerges on the finish. And it's still there. It lingers. The palate is left seasoned. And suddenly you want, charcuterie. It's the kind of wine I would love to just do a big cheese and charcuterie board with some bread or crackers and enjoy with friends all summer long. And the fourth wine in our flight is a Cabernet Sauvignon. Everyone needs a good Cabernet Sauvignon to turn to for grilling. This is a wine that you grab a few bottles, you call your friends and family around, and you fire up that grill. Even charcoal barbecue, yes. And here's why. So pour yourself a glass. Beautiful color, great depth of color, which you'd expect. And on the nose. Now, the nose is absolutely Cabernet Sauvignon. The vast majority of a wine's aroma and flavor comes from the grape variety, like to the tune of around probably 90%. And this smells like cassis, blackcurrant liqueur, which is the fragrance and the flavor of Cabernet. You smell that? And there's more there, but that's sort of the cornerstone, if you will. Now, this is 100% pure Cabernet Sauvignon, but you still get that wonderful varietal character, even though it costs, about a song. This sells for about $17 in Canada and about $5 in the US. It's made by Negociant in Stellenbosch, South Africa. So there's value for money packed here. So pour yourself a glass, big swirl. Yes, cassis. Yes, a little bit of grill marks, smokiness, hazelnut, stoniness even. I'm even getting slate. So I love that. This is a wine with perfect aromas to match grill marks. So have a sip and let's see what it tastes like. Sweeps in. Lots of saturated flavor, which is what you want when you're grilling, because those grill marks pack flavor. Those smoky nuances are going to be met with the smoky nuances in the wine, and you're going to get a match. So let's taste it technically. Have a sip. Focus on the tip of the tongue to see if it's dry or sweet. This is a dry wine. Now, I know technically it's got 4 grams per liter, but if you compare it to a lot of, wines at that price point that are Cabernet based, they can be quite high in sugar. This is relatively dry, and it's in perfect balance with the other components. Do you notice that there's no alcoholic heat showing through? That for me is very fascinating, because it tells you that there's a lot of lush fruit. Because if you glance at this label, there's 14.5% alcohol. So it is a full-bodied wine. There would need to be a lot of fruit concentration to blanket that, which you get. And that full-bodied goodness is fantastic for tight-fisted flavor. Now, have a sip, and we're going to focus on how that wine expresses itself in the glass. Blackcurrant. Wonderful blackcurrant. Less liqueur-like on the palate because it's dry, but there's a density of fruit that's very satisfying to drink. And it is summer, so you want a spike of mouth-watering acidity to balance that concentration, which I think this achieves beautifully. Let's focus on the sides of the palate just to assess that, because it's so important in a full-bodied wine. You do not want it to taste spoonable or soupy. Isn't that interesting? This is a wine with lots of acidity. Now, Cabernet Sauvignon is not a notoriously high acid wine, but here we get lots of it to balance all the other components, and I love that. It's a testament to a well-made wine. And there's also length. A little bit of grip, a little bit of tug, a little bit of walnut skin, which I like, and even a note of orange picot tea, which adds a little bit of gravitas, a little bit of seriousness. So this is a wine with a funky label from South Africa that's affordable, that's perfect for all your grilling moments. So there you have it, 4 wines to elevate your summer. Which one did you like best and why? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe because I'm coming right back with another flight of delicious wines here on Carolyn's Tasting Room so you can drink better and learn how.